Hi everyone, and welcome to this very special edition of Heartland Happenings. I'm Scott England, and it's my pleasure to be your host today. And I welcome in our studio Jake the Snake Roberts. Welcome, Jake.
Thanks a lot.
If you're a fan of professional wrestling, we know that you are already glued to your TV for the next 30 minutes. If you're not a particular fan of wrestling, we want you to stay close as well, because you will be very impressed with what you hear over the next half of an hour, I really think. Jake, how long were you a professional wrestler?
Well, too long, my wife says, but actually it's about 18 years.
18 years. And how does one become a professional wrestler? Did you have any jobs before you went into wrestling?
Well, I think what I did was just, I did it for the wrong reasons. It wasn't what I really wanted to do in life. I wanted to be an architect, and just out of trying to gain my father's love and respect, I became a professional wrestler. He was a professional wrestler, so that's how I attacked that.
Okay. And in wrestling, they have good guys and bad guys. You were one of the bad guys, weren't you?
I was a good bad guy. I didn't know what I was, and I think that's what probably helped with my stardom, is that the people that I wrestled didn't know what I was, and the fans were always intrigued about what I was going to do next. Of course, I didn't know, so it was a surprise to me too.
Now, there are a number of professional wrestlers and former professional wrestlers around, but you were one of the premier wrestlers. I mean, you were as high up as you could get in the profession that you chose.
Well, I was on top for about 12 years, and that's an amazing long time in wrestling, or any sport, to be on top. And I guess I could have still been there, except I finally started listening to someone who was a whole lot wiser than me, and listening to the Lord, and he let me know that he didn't want me to wrestle anymore. So I had to turn and walk away, and I've truly been blessed by doing that.
And you did walk away from being at the top of the heap.
Yeah.
As far as looking in, you were at the top of the heap.
Right, absolutely. From what the public saw on television, I was, doing all these great things and having all the right things happen for me. But that wasn't the case on the inside. I was really upset with myself, really disappointed with myself, angry, full of hate, confused, lost, lonely, just the whole thing. I mean, I was just really mixed up.
And while people were watching you wrestle, you had all the fame you could handle, had people wanting your autograph. And
I had too much. I had too much because, see, people don't understand, when you're very unhappy with yourself and somebody comes up and tells you that you're doing great, or that you've got it made, or gee, I wished I was you, it's a horrible feeling inside, because you don't like yourself, and that's basically where I was at. I couldn't stand myself. It was, people say, well, what was the toughest fight in your career? Looking in the mirror. That was always the toughest fight.
And really, what was the turning point for you? Was it a gradual thing for you? Was it a sudden thing? Were you?
Well, I got to say that it was gradual, because it took 37 years for me to get any better. But I don't know. The last 10 years of my career, I just nothing was making me happy. You see, I always thought that once I achieved that superstar status, that I would become happy. But once I achieved that, it was an empty feeling. You start trying to replace joy in your life with toys and with experiences, and whether it be, traveling all over the world with your family and trying to show them something, or with drugs and alcohol, or even sex or food, or whatever it might be. But those joy, that's not true joy. Joy will live, you see. But happiness is fleeting. And that's what I would do. I would get happy for a brief moment, then it's over, and I've got to find something else to make me happy. And that'll drive you insane, trying to continually find things to make you happy.
Your story is really not unique to you. It's not unique to professional wrestling. I mean, this is a story that very successful people, when you look at what we call success these days, what a lot of them are saying.
Absolutely. There's a lot of pressure in success. And because you're worried that you won't stay on top. So you got to constantly keep changing. So that puts pressure on yourself. And if you don't have that fuel that you need to receive from where I receive from the Lord now, you don't have anything to keep you going. And when you don't have anything to keep you going, unfortunately, you start turning towards drugs, alcohol, and the whole mess.
Jake the Snake Roberts is our guest. and we've got a lot more ground to cover. You're going to hear his complete story, and it is a great story. And we're also going to find out exactly why he's got the nickname Jake the Snake. Whether I want to find out or not, we're going to find out after these messages. Stay close. I'm Scott England. Welcome back to Heartland Happenings. Our guest this week, Jake the Snake Roberts. And Jake used to tote around that great big snake. These days, as you're going to learn in this half hour, he put down the snake and picked up the Bible.
It's a lot lighter and it'll do you a lot more good.
And I'll tell you, I'd rather be around it too, Jake, a lot more.
Told you the Bible's lighter.
Yes, there's some footage of Jake the Snake Roberts in action. Jake, before we get into your how you're spending your time these days, I want to ask you. I've never had the chance to ask anybody this. When you were in the wrestling profession, they had magazines. Of course, we've got some magazines here. Look at this. Look what we've got here.
Oh gosh.
Here's a big. I don't know if our camera can pick this up. Goes on your door, Jake the Snake. Here's some toys.
Yeah.
I've never had the chance to ask anybody. They had dolls of Jake the Snake.
Dolls,
what did it
video
feel like for you
games.
to have a doll made of yourself?
Kind of made me worried about the public a little bit. You know, I mean, I know my wife. We used to get the test products sent to our home, and we kind of put up with the coloring books and the dolls and things like that. But when we started getting pillowcases and comforters, it made us wonder just what the public was doing to their children. You know, it's a funny feeling you get. I mean, you know that you're out there making an impact on people if they're buying these things, but it also bothers you if you're not happy with yourself. I mean, if somebody was to come make a comforter with me now, maybe me holding the Bible, I'd feel pretty good about it.
Yeah.
Because I know where I'm at now, you know, and I know that I'm doing the right thing, and I know I can be a positive influence. If children were following me in those days and trying to mimic me and be like me, then they're going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
Because I was striking out constantly at people.
Jake, I know that you've been married for quite some time. How long?
12 years, be August 2nd. I remember that date. She doesn't. She keeps trying to forget.
And so, and your family?
We have a daughter that's 9, and we have, her name is Cody Dawn, and we have a son that will be a year old Saturday before this plays, and then my wife is pregnant now. So.
Wow. Well, congratulations.
Yeah, man. Fertile at 40. It's amazing. Isn't it? God's amazing.
You know,
My wife's not 40, by the way.
Okay.
I think she almost passed out.
Yeah, she'll thank you for correcting that.
Yeah. I'll thank myself for correcting
As she
that.
watches us on the studio tape this. You know, I've been with
She's
my wife.
stabbing my doll.
Yeah. I've been with my wife for over 12 years,
Yeah.
and I know your wife took you for better, for worse, and she was with
She
you for
wasn't
the
ready
worst.
to have the worst part come first, I don't think. And, yeah, she's an amazing woman. Actually, she needs to be sitting out here, not me. You know, the glory be to God that, boy, God gave me her to get me where I'm at today. And, you know, I know sometimes I don't show her that, and I should, but I'm still learning. You know, it's a learning process, and it's just so good to wake up in the morning and not feel bad about yourself and not worry about what you're going to do today. Because I know what I'm going to do today. I'm going to do something good.
And so the change in your life now, you were going through a bad time and you were separated from your wife?
Separated from the wife,
And you wanted to get back?
hopelessly addicted
Yeah.
to drugs and alcohol and sex and just being a fool. And I went through rehab the second time and tried to con her into get back into the house, you know. And I called her up and she didn't want me to come back. She said, I've had enough. She's had enough of the worrying, enough of the lonely nights, crying, and enough trying to take care of my daughter because my daughter didn't know if I was going to live or be home or come back or what was going on. It was, you know, total confusion, you know. And I tried to con her and tell her that I'd found Jesus while I was in rehab, and I'm still confused about people saying I found Jesus. I didn't know he was lost, but it's usually us that are lost, and I was lost. And then we went to church, and you know, because she was thrilled that I had even said that, even though it was a lie at the time. And God put a heavy hand on me that day.
We'll be back with more of Jake the Roberts' story after these messages. Jake the Snake Roberts, our guest at Heartland Happenings this week. Jake, these days you're on the road as much as you were when you were a wrestler, but you're on the road for a better cause.
Much better cause, and it's been great this summer. We've been on the road some 6-7 weeks now, and 10,000 miles, and we've spoke to a lot of kids, a lot of young kids, a lot of middle-aged kids, and a lot of elderly kids, because we found out that there's a lot of people out there, regardless of their age, that are still a child at heart because they haven't taken care of the things that formed them the way they are. And, you know, my message this summer has been, you know, look at what you have. You know, everybody out there has a miracle waiting for them. All they got to do is ask for it. You know, quit trying to beat yourself over the head and start praying. It's a lot safer and it works, you know. And so we go to places and we're speaking at churches, we're speaking at youth camps, we're speaking in prisons, just wherever the Lord will let us do it. And sometimes we catch people broke down on the side of the road. We'll sit down and talk to them too. You know, it doesn't matter. Just wherever we get a chance to witness for the Lord, because the Bible, that's what it asks you to do. And really what upsets the wife and I most is that we're running into a lot of comfortable Christians. And I say as a comfortable Christian because they're sitting at home saying, well, I'm doing good today and I'm doing the right thing, and that's all I need to do. Well, as a Christian, they need to get out and witness, and everybody's got a testimony. Everybody, not just Jake Roberts. And there's people out there that need it, need to hear it, need to know that we have a God that is so forgiving and that he will help you and bless you in so many ways that you can't do yourself. You see, when I was growing up, it was always the situation, if you want something, figure out a plan, how to get it, work for it, achieve it, it's yours. Well, that works, but the only problem is there's no joy in it. But if you go to the Lord and ask him what he wants you to do and pray, you'll know what's going on, and you'll know the right roads to take. And once you start doing that, all of a sudden you start feeling that fountain of love inside you, and that joy starts building up, and it gives you the strength to go from day to day. You don't have to be afraid of what you're going to have to deal with, because you know where your comfort comes. It comes from inside, and it comes from God.
Jake, because of what you accomplished in your life earlier, because of who you were and the life you led, you're able to touch some people and affect some people that maybe some people who have led a perfect life
They'll
will be
never
able
know.
to touch.
Absolutely, and you know, again, that's just right there is telling you that we all have a purpose, that we all have to go out and witness to people, because Jake the Snake Roberts was a commodity in the wrestling world. That gave me a platform. You see, there's a lot of kids that will come out and see Jake the Snake Roberts, but wouldn't come out to see, you know, Patrick Flynn. Unless there was a dunking tank or something. I don't know if you know Patrick that well or not, but you'd want to throw a baseball at him if he's in a tank, you know. Large tank, but in a tank anyway. But there are people that I can reach because they're going to come out to get an autograph picture, you know, from this, or play with one of these silly toys or something. So there's an opportunity for me to witness to a lot of people that a pastor would never get to. And it's also amazing is because we go to places and we run into people that are addicted from drugs or whatever, and I'm able to get real personal with them because I can sit there and tell them what they've done when they were high or when they were drunk or when they were coming down, and the little dark secrets that your minds play on you, you know. And so it's got to give them strength and assurance to know that, hey, this guy recovered from it, this guy's happy, this guy looks like he's doing fine today. Well, I'm doing better than fine. I am so happy. I'm so happy to help other people. Before, I would have never helped anybody do anything. That's just not my way. But today, it's just like, you know, you see somebody's life changed. Man, what else can you ask for?
Jake, 5 years ago when you were at the top in the wrestling profession, where did you see yourself in 1995?
Dead.
Okay.
Absolutely dead, no doubt in my mind. I didn't think I should have been alive then. You know, I tried to commit suicide a few times, and I haven't had those thoughts. You know, I still have those memories, and the devil still tries to play tricks on me. See, the devil's got videotapes of us all when we were misbehaving. But when the devil starts throwing those tapes at me now that run through my mind, man, I pull out the magic box, which is the Bible to me, and I just start praying on him, man. I say, devil, don't you learn? The devil is a slow learner, but it sure is fun beating him off now, you know, getting him away from you.
You think that you would have been dead now if it
Oh, no
weren't
doubt.
for Jesus?
No
Okay.
doubt.
Here we are in 95. Where do you see yourself in 2000, 5 years from now? What do you think in the future for you?
I want to open a children's home to where kids can come that are addicted, that have been abused, and come learn a way of life and a way of love. And not only do I want to help them heal, but I also want to have the opportunity for them to learn enough about the Bible that they can go out and lead other people to Christ. And you know, you set goals for yourself. I'm not setting a goal, because any goal that I set won't be anything near what the Lord has in store for me. And that's what people need to realize. And the goals that you set are nothing compared to what the Lord has waiting for you. So it's up to them to tap into that resource, which is your local churches. And believe it or not, you can have a good time being a Christian. You know, the next morning when you wake up, you don't have a hangover, and you don't have to think about what you've done. You know you did the right thing. So you don't need 2 aspirins to get over it, and you don't need a 12-pack to make yourself feel better. All you need is a few minutes just to read about what God can do for you and what he's already done for you.
Jake, I enjoyed you as a wrestler, but when I found out what had happened in your life over the last couple of years, the changes that you've gone through Jesus, I was so excited and so happy for that. I know that our time has flown by here, but I wish you nothing but great things in the future as you go on the road and share your testimony, your story with people through.
Well, you know, if anybody needs to get in contact with me, it would be interesting to be coming to their churches or whatever. They can do that by writing to Post Office Box 263, Bishop, Georgia, 30621, I believe is the zip code. And know that I will come. You know, I mean, the Lord has told me to do it, and I'm going to do it, because if he's healed me and recreated me and given me this joy, that I'm going to be obedient to do what he wants. So write us. If it's a child that just wants to write a letter to us, write it. It will be answered. And know that we're going to be out there being obedient to God's word, and it says to go forth. And we are.
Jake the Snake Roberts, our guest on this week's Heartland Happenings. We thank you for joining us. Have a super day.